Friday around 2:15 in the morning, police responded to a report of a woman shot near 51st Avenue and Elwood Street. Investigators say when police got there, the suspect, Morris Richard Jones III, invited an officer into the home.
It's been said to be one of the incidents that had the most law enforcement injuries in Phoenix, Arizona's history. And of course, it stemmed from a domestic assault or a domestic violence situation. Oftentimes, mass shooters are domestic abusers first. On February 11th, 2022, 36-year-old Morris Richard Jones III shot his ex-girlfriend, what police are labeling his ex-girlfriend, 29-year-old Shatifah Lobley, at a home in Phoenix, Arizona. Somebody called 911 and told the operator that a woman had been shot by an intruder and that there were multiple armed suspects in the home. It hasn't been reported who made that 911 call, but I would assume that it was Jones by the fact that it was false. Or at least some of it was false, like he was trying to cover his tracks. So police officers responded to this call at about 2:15 in the morning. The first officer that was on scene sounds like he probably was there with a partner, but he went up to the door. Jones invited him into the house. When he got up towards the front door, Jones opened fire on him, shooting him multiple times and seriously injuring him.
Come on! Come on! You're talking our own blood. Come on, bro. Come on.
Who's all in the house?
Huh?
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you?
Die! I've been shot. Die!
He was able to get back and get cover. The other officer that was on the scene with him did shoot at Jones, didn't hit him. Jones then went to a car that was parked in the garage and tried to ram the police car to get out of the driveway to get away from the scene. That didn't work for him, so he ultimately went back into the house. Backup officers showed up, set up around the home. Jones fired in the direction of the officers at that point too. During the standoff, another man believed to be Shatifah's brother came outside holding a baby and a bag. He put the bag down, he put the baby down on the front porch, put his hands up in the air, and backed up towards law enforcement because the police were telling him to and he was following orders. They don't believe that the brother was involved in what happened next, but when officers went up to the front porch to get that baby girl, Jones opened fire on the police officers. He shot 4 officers at that time, and because of ricocheting bullets or shrapnel, 4 other officers were injured also. So 9 in total.
To those 9 officers hurt on the job during a shooting and barricade situation.
All are expected to recover, and tonight Phoenix Police Chief Jerry Williams speaking with our Christine Stanwood. Christine is live outside Banner Forest tonight.
Christine, you were able to meet with the family of that one last remaining officer still in the hospital.
Yeah, and they tell me that it is a miracle that he is still alive. They tell me that he was the first one to go into the hospital, and hopefully over the next couple of days, he will be the last one out.
Police returned fire, which led Jones to continue to barricade himself inside the house. This time he remained barricaded inside of the house for hours. One report said that they finally ended the standoff at about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Initial officer showed up to help. The other 4 showed up to help, showed up to assist, not realizing and recognizing what they were walking themselves into.
The department's SWAT team arrived. They were able to rescue the baby girl that was Jones and Shatifah's by using ballistic shields. Jones also fired shots at the SWAT team, and the SWAT team tried unsuccessfully to get Jones to come outside. They were trying to negotiate with him. Eventually they went inside and found him and Shatifah both shot. One report said that they did a flashbang grenade and sent a camera in and found that he wasn't moving. Something else said that an officer, a SWAT officer, went inside, but they found him not moving. She was still alive at the time, but had been critically injured. She was taken to the hospital where she later passed away. All 9 of the injured police officers are expected to survive, and the baby girl was unharmed.
As for the 9 officers injured, Williams says their experience ranges from 2 to 20 years.
And I wanted to note, it said that some of the injured officers remained on scene until the barricade ended, and then they went and received treatment for their injuries. So those that were able to continue to participate did, in defense of each other and the situation being under control.
I marvel at the tenacity, at the heroism, at the bravery.
Where last week we did a video that talked about law enforcement having their biggest issue, the thing that they are arrested for most often is domestic violence. I wanted to follow that up, and it just so happened that this happened on a grand scale, but I wanted to follow that up with a video about the fact that law enforcement's most dangerous call is domestic violence. When they respond to domestic violence, they never know what they're going to come into. They could get shot, they could get stabbed, they might have a fight on their hands, they might have a hostage situation on their hands. It might go okay, they might get there's so many different possibilities because it's such a volatile situation and it can change very quickly. So while lots of domestic violence calls happen because of perpetrators that are law enforcement, I also want to note that law enforcement puts themselves in danger when they respond to domestic violence calls. And I'm grateful for the good officers that are doing their job. They're literally our last defense. As far as the history goes, Shatifah's recent relationship with Jones is somewhat unclear. Arizona business records show that the two started a business in July of 2021. Police referred to her as his former girlfriend at the time of her death, but one media source reported that the baby was only a month old. In 2021, at some point, he was accused in a domestic violence case. So I don't know if that was her against him or somebody else. I'm assuming it was her. I would guess that she was pregnant and he assaulted her, and that's what that case is from. But I do not have that case, so I can't say that for certain. So a couple of things to note. Chief Williams declined initially to say whether Jones had a criminal record or if police had been called to the home before. It turns out that Jones has quite a record. ABC 15 said that he has basically been in the criminal justice system since he was 18. And because 18 is that cutoff, I would guess he's probably been in there longer and that those are sealed because he was a minor. But he was a known member of the Crips, using a firearm during a drug trafficking crime. In 2006, he led Tulsa police officers on a high-speed pursuit that resulted in a helicopter joining the chase. He was accused of discarding a loaded firearm, resisting officers, and was sprayed with pepper spray for that. For possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, numerous traffic and obstruction violations, 5 misdemeanor warrants. He was accused in Arizona of conspiracy to transport illegal aliens for profit and given 3 years of probation in 2020, but was accused of using drugs in 2021 and went back to jail at that point. He was accused of a domestic violence case in 2021. It said that PD gun came from his grandfather when he was young and that he has always liked and had guns. He said that he acquired the guns by selling crackheads for rocks in the court document. So a little bit of a history. And I don't know if she had access to that. I feel like most of us don't, but we should. And then murder. Because of the police involvement, the way that they were in this situation, there is not much information at all that's been released about Shatifah. So as far as doing a tribute, there's not a whole lot I can do. I can tell you that 2 hours ago it was reported that the last police officer that was shot in this shooting did leave the hospital to go home. That would be the first officer that was on the scene at the time, the most seriously injured, if I understand correctly. And they have been able to go home. So I'm grateful for that. If anybody knows Shatifah and would like to put something in the comments about her in memory of her, I would love that. That would be a great way to honor her in the face of what people are going to miss her. They just are. In murder situations, when there is something that can grab the media's attention more than the death gets missed. The person that was alive gets missed. She is going to get missed if we don't make an effort to remember her. Until I see you again, stay safe. Police Chief Jerry Williams said in an early morning news conference, "This is just one more example of the dangers that officers face every day, keeping us and our community safe. If I seem upset, I am. This is senseless. It does not need to happen, and it continues to happen over and over again." And I agree. And we need to do something about domestic violence. It needs to stop being considered just a family issue that happens behind closed doors inside of the home, because it's not. The belief system is not just behind closed doors in a home. It doesn't just affect the people behind the closed doors in a home, clearly. And I appreciate Chief Williams' passion and the fact that they're concerned because of their officers that were injured in this incident. I 100% appreciate that. But I hope that they're as passionate when officers are not injured and victims are injured. Because until we care that much, it's not going to change.
Come on. Come on. You talking our own blood. Come on, bro. Come on.
Who's all in the house?
Huh?
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you? I've been shot. No.